Mayor live from New York. Which I have to say now because we're not always in New York, right, Ted?
That's right, Mayor. We have been all over the country our last 226 episodes.
We were in New York last night, but I did a radio show at Bedminster.
You were in a beautiful
now
tomorrow.
New Jersey. Tomorrow we may be doing. We're not sure yet. We know on Thursday we are, but tomorrow night we may be doing it at Bedminster. The present. Well, I mean, it should be the White House, really. But maybe if you want to get some decisions made, maybe they could farm a few out over there. Like, how do we end the? Is the Ukraine war going to go on for 422 years? Maybe we could. Maybe we could stop letting people in when we go over 300 million people on the border. 150 million of which are fentanyl dealers. Who knows what we could do? But the Democrat, I told you this a while back. I told my friends this. I do tell the former president this, and anyone that will listen. And I started this as we were about to win the first impeachment. They got to come up with something else. And they haven't failed me, right? Once again this week, at some point this week, when we're back here, nice and said, we're taking our chart out and updating it, like we're right and they're wrong, right?
Yeah, we got to bring that out.
Well, so far they've never been right.
No, they're
it's
batting
one
zero.
lie after another, after another, after another, after another, and the American people have been brainwashed with this Trump derangement illness, so that they keep making the same mistake 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. They keep believing the lies. And it's the same liars with the same purpose. So now we have a new one because, believe it or not, it's not enough they indicted him 4 times. Of course, what they did was they blew away the Republican primary. And they thought it was going to stick there. Now they are something in their pants because it's moved over to the independents. And now there are 8 polls in which Trump leads in 6. They're even in 1 and Biden leads in 1. One of them is the Times poll where they're tied, which means he's probably winning on a landslide. And there is one where he's got a 10-point lead. The American people, I think you can only fool them so long, and they have been doing it a long time. This is the longest, most successful and embarrassing con job I've ever seen. And it's embarrassing because it reduces the respect that people have for the intelligence of the American people because they buy it. You know, like even when it first came out, Hunter got $5 million from a Ukrainian crook, a major organized criminal suspected of murder, working with Russia against Ukraine. And Hunter got all this money with no expertise on oil and gas. And right after he got tossed out of the military for busting a crack test. In other words, he couldn't control his addiction long enough for a month to not embarrass his old man, right? Which are going to give you, I mean, if you need a gauge of just how bad the addiction is, that's a pretty good gauge. Or you could look at the pictures that I have in the hard drive, and it's hard to see a day that he wasn't high. And to tell me he's straight now, don't be a fool. Don't be a fool, please. American people, if we become fools, they'll take us over and keep us as communists and serfs and deplorables. They'll keep us that way if you keep being stupid. You should have known right from the very beginning it was bribery. Why the hell else would they be paying millions to Hunter? Why? Oh, could it be because his father was vice president? Oh, wow. That was a brilliant deduction. It wasn't for anything else. They don't make cars. They don't do sophisticated artificial intelligence applications. They don't have a great product. They got one thing. They got Joe Biden's office, and that's how they make money. That's how the 30 million from China. Why? Going into the Biden family. Why? What's the product in the Biden family that would be worth $31 million? The vice presidency. To reject that out of hand, debunked, means you're dishonest. Or you're not smart enough to think your way through it, which is a shame that we have so many people in America that weren't smart enough in 2020 to see their way through it. Now they have a new one. Now they've got the Attorney General of New Hampshire, who I guess is a Democrat, or if he isn't a Democrat, he's under the control of a governor who should be a Democrat, and says the most awful things about Trump. Got to be out of jealousy. I don't get it. I don't get it. Why don't you just go quit and join another political party, huh? Like the skunk party. You, Christie, a bunch of you guys could all be part of a very, very nice party. You did a real great job of screwing up our party. But your attorney general, if he is I don't know if he's a Democrat or Republican, but he wants to keep Trump off the ballot because Trump engaged in an insurrection. And the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution allows a disqualification of people who engage in a rebellion or insurrection against the United States or gave aid and comfort to the enemy. Of course, that was passed right after the Civil War, and it was intended to keep Confederate participants out of public office. Does it have language of general application? Yes, it does. I just wanted you to know where it comes from so you get an idea of how serious it is. Now, they want the attorneys general, and I believe Lawrence Tribe has written an article about this. They want the attorneys general in every state, which would mean Democrats, to make that finding. What are they going to base that on? They're going to base it on a $50 million investigation that came to the conclusion that they couldn't even charge insurrection against the president. You don't think Smith wanted to charge insurrection? And you've got leaks from the FBI way back a year and a half ago. There was no indication of planning. There was no indication that Trump was involved in that planning. The last words that he said to the group that he was with were to go peacefully and patriotically. So tell me where the people did not engage in an insurrection. I know all of the good newspapers write that, but they are 1984 totalitarians. I mean, it's like you take a word and you use the other meaning. These people who went to the Capitol, no matter how much money they spent, no matter how many rights they violated, they couldn't find a single gun. How could you possibly have an insurrection without a gun? Where's the plan for replacing the government? Where's the plan for what you're going to put in place? Where's the plan for what you're going to do? I mean, interrupt the vote? Well, they'll just have another vote. They weren't going to kill the people who were voting. I mean, it never even got that far. It lasted for here's what they did. You want to bar a man from public office who was the leading candidate of the Republican Party and the leading candidate in 5 out of 8 polls for president of the United States. Obviously, a person a lot of the people want. You want to bar him because there was a 4-hour interruption at the Capitol that there's no proof he had anything to do with it. And the people that have worked tirelessly, corrupted the system, gotten people to lie about lots of other things, and have made up crimes, can't seem to make an insurrection case against him or anybody else. Not one single person that the District of Columbia U.S. Attorney and court persecuted was charged with or proven to be involved in an insurrection. So where the hell is the insurrection that the New Hampshire Attorney General is going to charge against Trump and just say, you're off the ballot? Not only that, but it is quite obvious that this is not just a self-executing thing. The Attorney General of the state would be the most powerful man in the country if he could just take somebody off the ballot. In order to do that, you have to have a charge, a hearing. You got to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. How's he going to do it if Smith couldn't do it? But what evidence is he going to get? All the evidence has been obtained already. Isn't this just another of their phony distortions of the Constitution? And Lawrence Tribe and all these other professors that are arguing for this, why aren't they being prosecuted? Like poor Professor Eastman was prosecuted for propagating an interpretation of the Constitution that is not accepted by the courts, but not rejected by the courts. This has largely been rejected. And it's largely insane that you can take a president off. Or if they want to do that, why don't we, if they really want to do it, why don't we give them a taste of their own medicine? Why don't the Republicans look down one sentence later or one phrase later and see you can disqualify someone for aiding and abetting the enemy? Isn't that what Biden's been doing with China? Giving up Bagram Air Base 400 miles from China? That doesn't give comfort to the enemy. Aid and comfort to the enemy. A lot of comfort, boy. The planes are not much further away coming over to bomb me. Gives me a greater chance to hit you before you hit me. Wow. That's much bigger than anything Trump did. Or how about not stopping fentanyl from coming into the country while China makes billions, when all he has to do is reverse everything he reversed of what Trump did. And he'd get fentanyl down by about 80%. He'd also save American lives because he's a damn murderer. That isn't aiding and abetting China. They're making billions and they're killing Americans. And they don't have to even get involved in a shooting war. They got a war that's one-sided. They kill us, we can't kill them. They kill us, it doesn't cost them money, they make money. That's a hell of a war. Would not be possible without the traitor in the White House. You have no idea when those people come in who's carrying fentanyl. All you know is they're carrying it because under Biden, he set monumental records for young Americans dying of fentanyl. The man has no heart. He has no conscience. I don't think he's got a soul. Not the way he treats his granddaughter. So why don't the Republican attorneys general wake up and bring a case saying that we have 20 pieces of evidence that he's aiding and comforting China? You want more? Oh, not doing anything about the origins of COVID? That's pretty good, huh? You got away with killing 1 million of us that way. You know they're responsible for it. Unless, again, you're stupid. You know they lied about it. Unless, again, you're stupid. You know that once they found out that it was going to infect China, they deliberately sent their people all over the world so they could equalize things all over the world. Biden argued in their favor When Trump closed him down, Biden argued that Trump was a xenophobe. I mean, Biden argued that Trump was a xenophobe. Biden has told us they're not dangerous. That isn't aiding and comforting the enemy. I could go on and on. Now you're going to say, well, enemy means at times of war. Yeah. Well, that's if you want to have some kind of legal definition of it. Insurrection doesn't mean anything applying to Trump. He wasn't involved. There wasn't an insurrection. He didn't tell people to be violent. He told them to be peaceful and patriotic. So I guess if your attorneys general can change definitions, our attorneys generals can change definitions. And here's a good one. You go back to Xi Jinping, he's basically said they're in a state of war. Who are they in a state of war against? Russia? Us. So they're in a state of war. And the biggest helper they have in the world is Joe Biden. So let's make him first. Let's make him right away, even before we impeach him. Let's make him ineligible for any further public office. Or let's see if they want to put up or shut up. Always good to have a little leverage. It's one of the things we don't do well. Trump does it well. Republicans too often have too many sissies. I didn't win negotiations by being a sissy. I didn't put the mafia in jail by being a sissy. Every bluff they had, I had a better one. Just go do it. It's as legitimate as what they're doing, damn it. Let's make him disqualified for office. And then let's start making a real fuss about the 25th Amendment. The man doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Let's go attack his cabinet members for not standing up. Let's say every one of those cabinet members for the rest of his life is going to be known as a traitor because he's allowing a man without mental capacity to be president of the United States when he has the power to help remove him. When the hell are we going to play like big boys? When? Trump does. Few do.
Well, Mayor, I saw on the news today that apparently a couple of House Republicans are starting to subpoena some of Biden's. Finally, I mean,
wow.
Finally.
We're going to subpoena a couple of people.
Yeah.
Oh boy, we're tough guys.
I think the point that you made earlier about double talk is very interesting. Who originally coined the term insurrection, by the way? I think most people watching would have said it was a rally,
they did.
At worst, a riot. Right. Nobody, the listening audience never heard the word insurrection before January 6th.
Oh, here it is, Mayor.
It was a term that made its way into everybody's memeology.
What I was talking about. Comer subpoenas Mayorkas Secret Service over tip-off of 2020 Hunt and Biden tax probe.
I don't know. I mean, I think that's good. But I mean, there's so much more involved here. I mean, Mayorkas should be impeached. He should be thrown out. He should be sent off in exile or whatever. But the real issue here is too important to kind of build up to it. We have a man who lacks mental capacity guiding the United States of America.
And the voters are being lied to.
And we've got a man who is a lifetime criminal who is running the White House. We have a man that is bought, purchased, and controlled by the Chinese communists. Do I have to go on? How much longer do we take the risk that he irretrievably destroys us? Because he has destroyed us. I do not believe it's irreparable yet. He has made us into a communist country. He's made us into a fascist country. I am one of many victims of it. How much further are we going to let him go? And is there a point at which, whether it's Donald Trump or anybody else, maybe you can't turn this around anymore? And that's where we are.
That's what I'm worried about.
I know you are. You've talked to me a lot about that, Rob, off camera. Even before we got started with this show, we were talking about that. So I think it's about time to get him the hell out of there.
Well, Mayor, you had a bunch of people agreeing with you yesterday at Bedminster when you addressed bikers for Trump. You were told them Trump is the only man to turn this country around, and they were cheering, hollering, and those group of people. Hopefully, they can get everyone out to vote. And in 2024,
I mean, to
we got
ride
Trump.
a motorcycle, you got to have your wits about you, right? Can
That's
you
right.
imagine when they look at Biden, what they think? What kind of man he is?
Yeah, put him on a motorcycle. See how
What kind of
far
man? What kind? I'm not
He
sure.
can't
you're
even
allowed
ride a
to-
bike, Rob.
I'm-
Oh, he found a bike.
He can't even
I
ride a
forgot
bicycle.
that. I
He can't even
forgot
ride a
that.
bicycle. Put this guy in the back. But you know what he needs? Like that sidecar on the motorcycle, so he can't drive or anything like that.
Well, that's what the Nazis had. Remember?
Well, that's what he
The
is.
Nazis used to have that little sidecar.
Yeah. He's a fascist.
You step over to the side now. Show me your COVID papers now. COVID papers now.
Wow.
No church today. No church. Sorry, you cannot practice church.
Well, Mayor, speaking of COVID, Joe Biden, has COVID again, and Joe Biden today had a ceremony.
No,
for
Joe doesn't have COVID.
Jill. I said.
What is it, third time?
Yeah, Jill Biden has COVID, vaccinated, boosted, all that crap.
Is it true that she's had 413 boosters?
Maybe I don't know. That might be fake news. I don't know.
Be getting it, right?
But the
No,
point.
but
I'm
how
try-
many have you?
I got to check it. But the point I'm trying to make.
Would you? Can we send a little thing to Dr. Maria in New Hampshire
Yes.
and ask her to
I'll
see if
text
she
her
can
right
get
now.
us a count of how many times Jill? I believe it's over 100 boosters.
I'll ask her.
And is it possible the boosters are giving her COVID?
Right. Well, and Mayor, the point I'm trying to make is Joe Biden had a Medal of Honor recipient today at the White House.
You could have given the guy COVID.
He wasn't wearing a mask, and that's what people are
Oh.
calling him out for because this is
But
the
you don't have-
hypocrisy that we live in.
But no, it would be a real hypocrisy for us to call him out on a mask when we know it doesn't do any good.
Right. But he
But where's
wears it.
Fauci? I think we're going to do. Can we get an electronic whiteboard?
Yeah.
You know what I want to do with an electronic whiteboard? I want to show the shifting. I want to figure out. We could spend a show doing this with the help of the audience. How many different positions Fauci has had on the mask?
Mhm.
How many? I think it must. This is why poor Dr. Jill is confused. She doesn't know where Fauci is right now. There was a point he wanted you to wear 3 or 4 masks. You know that. He wanted 3 or 4 masks. Then at the beginning, there were no masks because they don't do any good. If he had stayed with the beginning, he would actually told the truth. Then when the mask companies caught up and they could make a fortune, think he got a kickback? A lot of American politicians did. That's what should be investigated by the Justice Department. There's plenty of evidence that high-level American officials got. You know what this is? When we used to communicate doing the mafia and the bank robberies and stuff like that with the FBI, people like, this is money.
Probably going on constantly, and still going on.
So let's take a.
Yes.
No, you know what I'm going to do? I'm feeling a little tired tonight. We had a long day yesterday out at.
Yeah, and Mayor, it was also very hot.
We had a
lot of
long day
walking
yesterday,
around.
and we had a wonderful lunch with the president. While I'm preparing. Well, I can have this.
Right.
While I'm preparing my
Balance of
My-
nature.
balance of nature fruits, which you have got to take.
That's right.
I'm telling you, if you want to be healthy, used to be an expression, healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't be wealthy and wise if you're not healthy. So it is true. Now, balance of nature. So what happened? Let's look at the pill for a minute. So in here, they condense massive amounts of fruit, much more than you probably are able to eat. Same thing here with veggies. Now, we don't have enough veggies in our diet. We need more, and they contain many of the vitamins and supplements and that we're trying to get with thousands of other pills. And you take this, and you can take others. It's up to you. You take this, you're going to be in really good shape, like I am. Watch. Now, I do not recommend this unless you're an animal like me. Okay. Because I'm not going to do it because I've given I've actually created a few problems for children doing this at baseball games. You know what I do at baseball games? I eat the nuts with the shell on it. And then kids imitate me. Well, let me go back. Let me finish Balance of Nature first. So here's one fruit, one vegetable. Now I like taking 4 of each a day. So there's 2. There's 2. Well, I'm doing this. Give them how to get it.
Balanceofnature.com, promo code Rudy, 35% off, travel size, regular size. Also, fiber and spice. If you want to be regular, get that fiber in. You always need fiber. It's very good for you. You can never have too much.
Let me
fiber.
tell you something. I take it every day. To make an admission. It's been a bit of a problem for me all my life. And now I'm regular. Okay, now let's get back to something. I shouldn't have said that. I think in the old days, that would have probably been banned. Nowadays, it's only if you say something bad about Biden, it's bad. You can say anything about Trump. You could even curse when you talk about Trump.
You could make death threats about him and no one will do anything.
Well, they did.
Yeah. Finally. I mean, after how
I
many?
have a death threat against Trump the day before the January 6th thing that was well known to the FBI. They did nothing with. They allowed the guy to participate in January 6th, and they let him out on bail or no bail after 2 hours, and he was charged with a prior incitement where a person died. Okay. So tell me that I'm going to go do flips over January 6th when I know the truth. Bidenomics. He's going around selling Bidenomics. Meanwhile, people can't afford the usual food they eat. They can't afford the full tank of gas. He said, I brought gas prices down. How about you want to say the following? I brought gas prices way up. Then I brought them down to double what they were under Trump. And now they're coming up again. So I completely destroyed you. Now I'm screwing with you, and I'm heading towards completely destroying you again.
Double talk.
And I want to be president. He also tells us that he's lowered the debt. I don't get this. He's lowered the deficit. 3 weeks ago, I read an article saying our deficit is a record. And by the end of the year, it's gonna go to, what is it, like 3 trillion? I mean, it's ridiculous.
But Biden says everything's going great.
The deficit is going to be like 70% higher than he started.
Could it be he's lying?
How about this here? Wonderful economy. This one I'll just show here. Credit. How about that headline in the Post? Thank you, Joe. Could you please go to the nursing home, please? Please. We got 70 million more credit card accounts opened. They're defaulting at record levels. And we have the record deficit is going to be 2 trillion, not 3. By the time he's finished, it'll be 3. Okay?
So, Mayor,
what else do you need?
The United States has a 18% inflation rate right now, but in New York City, we're at 6.4. We're higher than the rest of the country here in inflation. That's insane.
Is it possible that, people have been writing to me and saying, is it possible you'll be the last? If they're saying to me, if you're the last person to leave New York, would you please turn out the lights? They're saying to me, and all these are my friends who are leaving. You know what? They're having trouble getting moving vans. No joke. No. They're having trouble getting moving vans. The New York, New Jersey moving van people are both happy and annoyed that people are moving in from outside the city and state to move people. My favorite is Big John. We got to get him back as a advertiser.
Yeah.
Big John, fabulous, fabulous. Yeah, and I hope you know what would be interesting to find out from Big John. I'm going to call him tomorrow. Consider this Big John a free advertisement. I think he's got to go to bigjohn.com. You can get him. He was one of the few guys that used the same crew throughout the entire move. So let's say we were going to move to, we were going to buy one of Biden's houses in Delaware for $45 million or whatever. He would keep the same crew on. Or let's say we were going to Florida. A lot of companies hand them off. They go like New York to Maryland. Then another company picks it up in Maryland.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Then they go down to Georgia. Another company picks it up, and then Georgia takes it down. Now, each time they do that, they ruin your furniture. No matter what, I don't care how good the company is. And Big John is really good at this. They've moved me numerous times without any kind of damage I would notice. But each time they move you, there's going to be some kind of damage. Now they start taking it on and off the truck 3-4 times. You're going to damage things. You're going to lose things. Big John takes the same group of people from New York. They end up in Boca Raton. Same group in Boca Raton.
Mayor, on your moving, while you were on this subject, New York,
BigJohn.com.
Big John.
New York City alone, since August 13th, 2023, has lost 5.3% of its population. This is not the state. This is just the city. Almost 500,000 people fled. They're done with this city. They're just done.
They're gone already.
So here's an interesting thing. Everybody knows Cuomo and how he got thrown out of office, either because he was harassing 12 women or he was getting old people killed. We don't know which, right? We probably think the woman thing was used to cover the killing thing. But in any event, I want to ask a question of the three of you. Who was a better governor, Cuomo or Hochul?
I'm going to go Cuomo 100%. He was a moderate first. First, he was a moderate, and he worked well with Republicans. The state was doing well under him because he was very...
He made a switch at some point.
He did. He was very down the middle. Then all of a sudden, with this COVID crap, he went total liberal.
Now, here's the thing you got to remember. He tries to hide all the terrible criminal legislation that's leading to reducing the age,
right?
Letting people out on bail, the net result is 5,000 to 7,000 people that are walking the streets that I would have had in jail. So all that happened to the Cuomo.
So he signed that bill. So we'll say 2019, because that's when he signed the bail reform bill. That's when he started to go.
When he decided to go. He decided he had to go left.
Full lefty liberal. Because,
but do you remember? I remember this like it was yesterday. When COVID first began, when I started my podcast, I think a little before COVID, and I started my radio show right after COVID. And I was at the beginning of COVID. I was on the phone with the president quite a bit. I was his lawyer then, and it was hard to get back and forth to Washington. So we did a lot of Zooms, and we did a lot of. And I remember Newsom in particular, but Cuomo also praising Trump and saying,
I remember that. Yeah.
Newsom, I think, still does.
He does.
Newsom was saying, I disagree with Trump on everything, but everything I want on COVID, I get. And I get twice as much. And then Cuomo pipes in, says the same thing. So I know Andrew since he's a baby. So I write an op-ed piece for the Post, which you can go get out, which says, for the first time in a long time, I feel like maybe we can overcome this partisan divide like we did on September 11th, because you got guys like Newsom and Cuomo praising Trump and Trump praising them.
Yeah, it looked like a...
Okay. The ship, which I helped a little bit to get to New York, because it was the same ship they used on 9/11. And I don't mind telling you a little bit through my son, who was working in the White House 24 hours a day then. It was around the time the ship showed up. And Cuomo was praising him for helping him get hospital beds and whatever. All of a sudden, one day, Cuomo engages in like a vicious attack on Trump. I don't even remember what it was about.
I know what it was about, Mayor.
But it was before the dead people in the nursing home.
Right. He said it was about.
He blamed him. He blamed him for that too.
Supplies. He said he claimed he asked Trump for a bunch of masks and COVID and whatever, and Trump didn't want to give it to him, and he lied about it. And
He
Trump
had to have lied about it.
Trump said I talk with Cuomo on the phone and I'll give him whatever he wants. He never called me. He's
when
a liar.
I wrote the article about the two of them, they both called me and thanked me. Cuomo called me and said, "Thank you very much, Mayor. That was really very nice." And I said, "Well, look, I'm just encouraging this. Pataki and I went through this, and I know you don't get along with de Blasio. You got to fix that. You got to fix that. This will be a disaster if the two of you go in a different direction." And I could take you, I mean, I've written on this. I can show you how Katrina happened because the governor and the mayor hated each other and never communicated, much more so than the president. So when they want to blame the president, even like blame Biden for Hawaii, it's really the locals. Or like they tried to blame Bush for Katrina. Now, Bush could have helped more, maybe. Biden could certainly help a little bit more than staying on the beach, but he really wouldn't make a material difference. It's major catastrophe in America because of the type of government we have and where we put our law enforcement and first responder services is governor, mayor, governor. And Pataki and I, to our credit, recognized that the moment he realized I was still alive. And he said to me, and I don't know if he suggested it first or I did. I tend to think he did. And even if he didn't, he said yes right away, which a lot of governors wouldn't. We agreed we're going to run our governments together. We joined together. We didn't break up for 2 months, and wasn't a breakup. I mean, we didn't. We when I say we worked together, we ran our offices together. He had a staff meeting every morning. I had a staff. We were all together. So, and I'll tell you what that did. What that meant was if I needed something from the state, I got it then. If we needed something from the federal government and we needed a joint application, it happened right then. And then, God bless him, President Bush put FEMA right at the table. And that's why it works so well. And that's what I preach. That's what they do in Florida, because Governor Bush did that in Florida. That's what they do in Chicago, because Mayor Daley did it in Chicago. That's what they don't do in a lot of places where you see these completely messed up disasters. They don't know what they're doing. Okay, enough of that. We're going to take a short break for Tunnel to Towers, the greatest organization in the world. Towers Foundation delivers on its promise to do good and never forget the sacrifices America's greatest heroes have made for us. Heroes who risked their lives to keep our communities and our country safe. Heroes like United States Marine Corps Captain and pilot John Jeremy Sachs. Captain Sachs sustained fatal injuries when his military aircraft crashed during training, killing him and 5 other service members. He's remembered by loved ones as courageous, brilliant, and devoted to his career, family, and friends. John is survived by his wife, Amber, who gave birth to their second daughter 3 months after his death. Tunnel to Towers paid the mortgage on the family home for Amber and their 2 daughters. The foundation has helped over 1,000 military and first responder families navigate the worst of times by removing the burden of a mortgage payment. Our nation's heroes and their families need your help now more than ever. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. T2T.org. That's T, the number 2T.org. T2T.org. Please donate now. Even 2/3 of Democrats say President Biden is too old. Even 2/3 of Democrats, 73% of all voters, too old. He's not too old. He's too senile. Bingo. Lots of people are 85 and do it. I had an uncle who died because he fell. My uncle was a sharp at 85. as he was at 25. And he was strong as an ox, and he fell, and he died as a result of falling. And it's a tragedy because he'd be around today, and I'd have him on the show, and you'd really love him because he won medals in the Second World War, and he won 3 medals as a New York City police officer, bringing people down from the top of the Brooklyn Bridge. And he would never talk about his military experiences. I would torture him to try to get him to do it. But he'll tell you about how to take people down from a bridge. And it's really exciting when he tells the story. Really exciting. And he was an expert on the Brooklyn Bridge in particular. I think he did a few others. And his wonderful daughter, my cousin Debbie, gave me his last medal that he got from Mayor Koch on the last day he was a police officer. You can tell he's my hero, right? So Biden is definitely too old to take people down from the Brooklyn Bridge. He's definitely too old to take care of himself. I really want to know, and I do not mean this disrespectfully, although you can't be disrespectful to a man that's killed as many people as he has. Who feeds him? And the voters, here's what gets me nuts on this poll. So Trump is beating him in most of the polls. The Times poll, they're even, which means he's winning by 10, right? One poll, he is winning by 8. And they say only 39% of the people have a favorable view of the president. So these are the people that are still brainwashed, right? That 39%.
You have to wonder.
Okay, now, only 42% approve how he's handling his job. Now, they got to be brainwashed also. 54% disapprove. Trump is rated as less honest.
How is that possible?
I don't know how that's possible. That's possible because of propaganda.
That's right, Mayor. It's because
Trump
of the
didn't
media.
take money from China. Trump didn't take money from. This guy was a straight out and out bought and sold high level traitorous public official. He also, if Trump lies, and I'm not going to concede that he does, he doesn't lie every day about everything. Biden lies every day about everything.
Yeah.
You are much better off concluding the opposite, and you're going to be right when he says something for the first
Well,
time.
they say that's what you have to do to cover your previous lies, right? It becomes.
Well, I think before he was senile, he was a pathological liar.
Right.
Just go look at the film back in New Hampshire when they catch him in lies in 88 or 89. And then one of the news reporters, one of the famous ones of the day, saying that his career was finished because he was such a big liar.
And a plagiarizer.
And that was probably a real
Which
journalist.
is a form of a lie.
That was really probably a real journalist who probably would be turning over in his grave.
Where'd those go, Mayor?
Oh,
Where are they now?
They're censored. That's where they are.
dead or with the new Epoch Times.
That's right.
That's right.
That's right.
They rated Trump as less honest. And here's the one that drives me nuts. And you're going to say Trump is less likable.
Stop that, Mayor.
Totally
Mayor.
Come on, you were with him yesterday, right?
Listen,
Okay.
I was with Uncle Donnie yesterday,
No,
President Trump. I'm sorry.
President Trump.
I'm sorry, President
I
Trump.
may have to go slap you.
I'm sorry, Mayor. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was with President Trump yesterday. Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you listeners a quick story.
Teddy's been with him, and Rob will soon be with him.
The bikers for Trump were there. I heard the president say multiple times to his staff at Bedminster, do they have enough to drink? Do they have enough to eat?
He was worried about
He was worried about bikers for Trump. Do you know how much things
He said
this
it's
man
very
has
hot.
to worry?
How about this? It's very hot out there. You're taking care of them.
That's how many times
Should
he
we
said
bring
that,
them
Mayor?
in? Should we bring them in? Oh,
Today.
they'll be in
Yeah,
soon. They'll
yeah.
be in soon.
He
We
wanted to
need
bring them in air conditioning. Yeah.
But his people wanted to do an event. He said, "Well, can we do? You can't do it inside. Oh, let's do it. Let's do the event now. Let's do it quick."
Yeah, he wanted to get it over with.
So he said he
were
asked me to
roasting.
introduce him, and he said, "Quick."
That's right.
Now, I am. You don't know this, but I'm an expert at quick, medium, long, and unbelievably long introductions at Trump, depending on how much time he wanted to spend backstage talking to people, and we never knew. So I had a thing prepared. I had an introduction prepared that could be 2 minutes, 5 minutes, or 10. When it got beyond 10, I would go back to the beginning. So Johnny, who was his main advance man, and I would have signals. So after about 2-3 minutes, he'd come out. If Trump were going to do a quickie, right? He'd go like this. Okay, and then I knew I got about 30 seconds to wrap up. He's going to be at the thing there. They're going to start the music, and I'm going to say, and now the next president of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Sometimes he'd come out after 2 or 3 minutes, and he'd go, that meant we're going 5. If he knew we were really going along, then he'd go like this, which meant we're going to 10. So now I'm using my entire speech. We never thought until it happened that we ever had to go beyond 10. One time he comes out, and this was the signal.
Well,
he goes like this.
Mayor, the round of applause. You got a hero's welcome yesterday from these guys. They love you. They love President Trump.
You mean they don't agree with Fannie?
No,
they don't agree with
no,
Fannie Wanny
no.
that I'm a criminal?
No. You even said Corn Pop probably beat the S out of Biden, and they love that one.
Well, they know that's based on what I told you.
Right.
That's based on if he said, I never talked to my son about his foreign dealings, I knew immediately he was lying.
Right.
I knew he just admitted it. Well, finally now it's proven, right? Yeah. So I know when he says, I taught that Corn Pop a lesson, that Corn Pop probably kicked the living daylights out of him.
Where can we get Corn Pop on your show?
Can we find
him? Can we find him?
We've been looking for him. If he does exist, we will locate.
We
him.
have a chance.
We're on. We've actually have some.
We're
leads.
onto something.
We got to keep it quiet though.
Okay.
We'll,
I
we'll
think
fill you in, Mike and Rob.
There's a reason why I said that about, his kicking the living daylights out of Biden. I think it's possible the guy wants to straighten out the historical record like Jill's husband did.
Love that. I'm into that. I'm into that.
You may see him on the program.
Yeah, if we can get Corn Pop.
Corn Pop, you're listening. The mayor wants
it is possible that Corn Pop. You want a theory? Joe told that last time he told the story about Corn Pop. He was talking about when he was in the pool. He was a lifeguard.
Hairy legs.
And he liked the children touching his hairy legs. Yeah. Now tell me that isn't creepy and pervy.
When I heard that, I was like, wait a minute. This is going over national television?
No, but that's pervy, isn't it?
It's the craziest thing anybody ever heard.
I don't know what it is. I'm not going to make any accusations. I'm just going to say it creeped the hell out of me when he said he liked the kids touching the hair on his legs.
Mayor, it seems like this man has many professions in his life.
Could it be possible that Corn Pop got pissed off that he was having the kids touch his legs?
Yeah, maybe.
And gave him a good beating.
Biden's been a lifeguard. He's been a truck driver. He's been a lot of things.
He doesn't look to me like a lifeguard.
Well, but he has all these professions, Mayor. I mean, what? How can we verify?
Like when he did that, I'm going to take Trump behind the.
I'm gonna take him back the bleachers.
I was kind of looking at him, his body, his movements.
Yeah.
I think
it was gonna happen.
It was a poor Hollywood
script. I think this guy is lucky he got the Secret Service because I think a lot of guys would take him out.
I would love to interview the Secret Service.
I bet.
See if they like him.
I bet in addition to being the dumbest kid in class, they used to kick the shit out of him.
So I think Biden might have got bullied.
We're joking about
He has that. He has that.
He
has that insecurity thing where he exaggerates everything. This hero thing.
Right.
Everything. Even the confession of bribing Poroshenko is this is not a word, but heroized, made into where he chose him. It took place over the telephone. He was begging him.
Yeah. And of course
he was driving him nuts. Poroshenko relates it all to Shokin, which I have on tape. Now they have it on tape if they would release it. All those conversations are recorded. Why aren't they released? You know why? Because they are deadly.
Yeah.
They lay out the entire bribe.
Yeah.
A little bit of them has been released, and but there's nothing. Doesn't matter if there was a picture of Biden putting a bullet in somebody's head, the press would say that it was a doctored photograph.
Right. That's right. And any comments we're making here about Joe Biden and having Secret Service, of course, we're referring to there are people that may say the same thing to him that he said to Trump, right? There's people that would want to take him around the bleachers and you know. So just to clarify,
Nobody wants to.
No threats here.
Yeah.
We're not
This
threatening
is all
him. We're
joking.
We're questioning
Yes.
him as a youngster.
That's right.
Was he a big tough guy, like he tries to claim he is, or did Corn Pop beat the living
Who do
daylights
you think
out
could swing a bat better, you or Joe Biden, Mayor?
What about Chris Christie?
I'm sorry, he's upset. I even had to ask.
Chris Christie or Joe Biden?
No, Christie is a teammate of the Mayor's.
Yeah.
Chris is a good baseball player.
Christie's a good third baseman. Apparently,
it hurts me to hear
he
that.
belongs on first base. But
I will only criticize a man for legitimate things. Christie's a good ball player. I know he's very heavy and out of shape, but you can tell when a man has athletic ability.
He knows how to put his weight into the swing.
Yeah, and he still walks straight. I mean, now every single step that Biden takes is an adventure.
Well, President Trump said
It's
we
an
are not
advan-
allowed
it's
to
a-
make fun of Chris Christie, Mayor. So we have to.
I know,
We have to.
He
gotta
said you're
ease
not-
up on
he's-
that.
he
you're not
said-
allowed to fat shame.
You're not allowed to fat shame him. Not allowed to fat shame.
Yeah,
That's what he told us yesterday.
Well, I'm not.
No, just saying on the show.
I'm not calling him like a fat slob or anything like that.
Hey, we don't. We're not calling him that. Someone
I'm
had
not calling him a fat
yeah.
slob.
Someone had referred to him as that, and the president so eloquently said,
I'm
We're
not
not gonna do
going to
that.
call him a fat slob.
I heard President Trump defend Chris Christie yesterday, say, "Please do not fat shame him." He did say.
I
these
was
words.
and I was
He said
going like
this.
this. I was.
And the mayor was like, "Absolutely, I agree with you."
I
President
wouldn't.
Trump."
I would.
we're not going to point out his weight.
I agreed with the. I went to the president and I said, absolutely, without any doubt, we're never going to call him a fat slob.
No, never.
Well, he's quite the athlete.
So now the new one by the Wall Street Journal, which I don't know, they're going to have to make a change. The new one is Trump is going to beat Biden. They agree that he's wiping out the field, but he can't beat. He's going to beat the Republicans, but he can't beat Biden. Now, how do you say that with such confidence when he's leading him in 8 out of 10 polls? Don't you have to say he might have a hard time beating Biden, or it might be tough, but there are indications that he can, indications that he can't? And is there anyone that runs against Biden that does better? Now, can we also stop fooling ourselves? Biden's not running. I will definitively state that Biden is not going to be the Democratic candidate for president of the United States. It will be somebody else. It is now beyond doubt that they're trying to get rid of him. Too much stuff coming out in Democratic circles. They're not like going directly against him, but The Atlantic publishing the nasty parts from the book about how he gets sleepy, how he doesn't remember. Now, basically, they're making the case, even with a kiss-ass biography, they're trying to make the case that they're getting people ready to him going. So I don't know when, I don't know where, I don't know how they're going to orchestrate it. And when they saw McConnell go blotto, they said to themselves, "There, but for the grace of God, go I," because that could happen to senile, demented old Joe anytime.
So, Mayor, while we're on this subject, I just got a breaking news from the New York Post. Franklin Foer wrote a book called The Last Politician.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Right. He said that Biden rages every day that he's treated like a child by his staff. Why do you think that is, Joe? You're demented and senile. You got to be treated like a
Joe,
child.
when you take the ice cream and you throw it over your shoulder instead of put it in your mouth, somebody's got to help you put it in your mouth.
And when you don't know where Maui is, and you don't know, I mean, what do you expect?
Or when you walk up to the president of Cambodia and you think he's the president of Colombia, and one's Asian and
the other one's Spanish.
the other's Spanish.
They don't look alike.
Yeah, Joe, come on, babes. I mean, it must be like all those Indians that were running the stores that you didn't like.
He also made a quote saying, "Was John Kennedy, JFK, ever treated like that?" No, Joe, because he was young and spry.
Treated like what?
but treated like a baby.
The media was just as friendly to
Yeah.
Kennedy as they are to
No, he meant the
to
staff.
Joe Biden.
Yeah, he meant his staff. He's talking about the staff. Did they ever treat John Kennedy like a
No,
child?
they didn't have to
Oh,
feed him.
They didn't have to feed. Right, he was young and spry, and
They didn't have to feed him.
no,
He knew how to eat.
He knew how to eat.
Yeah, he could eat on his own.
he
He
knew how
could
to
have.
speak.
He knew how to get around the White House. He knew what room was
He didn't
which.
get lost in the bushes.
No.
Yeah,
Well,
In fact,
you had mentioned once that when you first met him, the friend that you were with that introduced you to him
it's the dumbest man I know.
prepared you to be ready that he's sensitive about his own stupidity. So he's got a sensitivity problem.
He does. Yeah, he
Right.
got a chip on his shoulder.
It continues.
What we
Did he
call.
also shake hands of the air like no one was there? Remember he turned around
Yeah,
and shook the
yeah, yeah.
air's hands. There was
Well, it's
nothing
really
there.
great when he turns around and doesn't know which way he's going. And you know what I really like? Treat him like babies. I think they're mean to him. They don't. Nobody's ever there.
they don't treat him like a baby.
If another president fell,
Yeah.
like anybody can fall. He falls, constantly. If you fall constantly, you got a problem. But if you fall once or twice, my God, everybody falls. So let's say let's say Kennedy fell,
Up the stairs.
just fell. Well, no, I don't think he fall going up the stairs. I think he fall going down the stairs. He just fell. He tripped. I'm sure sometime Kennedy tripped.
Right.
Wouldn't they come and rush around him? And
Everybody, would run up. Like,
75 Secret Service agents would be right
I
behind him.
remember
picking him up.
when there was a thing about a gun, possibility of a gun in Reno with Trump. He must have had 10 Secret Service agents around him.
Oh, you
They-
see that?
Yeah,
Flew to
they
action.
tackled him.
I
They
remember.
tackled. I thought they hurt him.
yeah,
They tackled him like a football player. And
They had every
all of a
part of him
sudden,
covered.
not me. I was going to get shot. I'm standing there. I had just introduced him.
We would have been there.
I'm standing there,
That's right.
and all of a sudden, I hear the word gun. Next thing I see, Trump is got about 5 guys around him. I think they're hurting him,
Yeah.
and they're taking him off the stage. My security guy, Bo, decides to go after the criminal.
Oh.
So he jumps over the barrier and joins the Secret Service because he's a cop.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there. My son grabs me and pushes me inside. My son was the only one who had that
Hey,
thought about
Well,
me.
Mayor, you got new security now, so don't worry.
Ted, Rob, and Mike would have been on you so fast.
Yeah.
We would have tapped.
And I wrote him a note that night. I said, I now know you can be president.
Oh,
Because he didn't leave. He went back out and finished the speech.
I remember
The
this.
Secret
distinctly.
Service had the cars all ready. They were going out and he turns to me. He said, you think I should go? I said, no. He said, yeah, that's what I think too. I don't want to go. I said, you just tell him. I'm not going.
It was a false alarm, right?
Yeah, it was. We didn't know it then.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No. At that moment, my gosh, they can't. You hear the word gun, you do not say, oh, it's a false alarm.
No, yeah. Oh,
If
God.
you, I mean, we have a lot of criticism of the Secret Service here, there, and the other thing. But boy, when the president's in trouble, look, they don't always do it right. Nobody ever does it right. But it's not because of lack of guts, and it's not because of lack of dedication. Wow, man, I wouldn't want to be that guy either. They do not follow the rules that we have for the NYPD. Let me put it that way. You do not want to threaten the president. QUX. Okay. We're going to go now to, would you please get QUX and save you? I have it on right now.
That's right. We'll show
The,
Getter.
the,
We'll show
the,
Getter.
yeah, show Getter the great quality there. Okay. We will take a short break.
The year is 2022. Cancel culture is the new normal. Online freedom as we know it has ended. Digital stockades are here. All activity is monitored, stored, and predictively analyzed by a technological cartel. We're being converted into a digital resource, a digital currency to be farmed for metadata and loaded into a computerized combine, blockchained to a social engineering operating system. However, it doesn't have to be this way. Be part of a new technological revolution. Right now, 1,000 test pilots have launched themselves into a new digital frontier. a private network outside the big tech control. New technology with state-of-the-art digital engagement and never-done-before security and privacy features that are now operational. With Quick's digital engagement, entertainment, communication, and commercial exchange will never be the same. We are QUX. Advanced pre-release sales are limited to 3,000. Order now by visiting quicks.tv. Get yours now before they sell out. Be part of a brand new online experience that you control.
Rudy Giuliani back again live. So there's a thing about this new group of 5 million, 6 million, 7 million, 8 million, since a lot of them we don't detect, illegal immigrants that have come in. They are not like prior illegal immigrants. They are not in large measure vetted by the U.S. Even the ones who are accounted for and found get a very, very cursory vetting, and then many are not seen at all. It could be a factor of 100%. In other words, 1 million come in and that we stop, send some back, take most of them in, don't know really who they are, but then 1 million come in, we don't even know who they are. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples so you don't think I'm kind of making. I'm going to give you a recent and a past one. Here's a guy named Daniel Hernandez Martinez. He arrived on June 27. That's just a while ago. And he committed his first crime the next day. Since then, I think he's done 8 crimes with 14 victims that began with shoplifting and then continued to assault with a deadly weapon, beating the living daylights out of people. And each time he was released by our communist court system. On July 6th, he hit a Duane Reade in Columbus Circle, knocked a few people around, took a toolkit. Then he did an assault at Duane Reade on West 35th Street. Then he pulled out a large knife and he advanced toward an undercover officer, not knowing it was an undercover officer. And he was let out on bail on all of these occasions. He was out within less than a day, which is why he was able to accomplish 8 crimes since June. Just been here since June. Comes from Venezuela. His latest one is he hit somebody with a bike tire. Then he was let out on that, and 3 days later, he was arrested for menacing with a weapon and harassment on 701 8th Avenue. Then 4 days later, he was arrested for using a large metal pipe. That was on August 28th to break locks to steal bicycles in Times Square. Then he was taken to a hospital because he requested medical attention. And while there, he assaulted a police officer. This is what we're getting. This is not, I am not being unfair and selecting just one person. This is a representative percentage of the people who are let in, which of course makes sense because they're screened by the cartels who want to get drug dealers and problems for the U.S. into the United States. Then we had 41 arrests at one single hotel shelter at the Roosevelt Hotel. 41 arrests, most of them involving violence, many of them involving beating the living daylights out of children and women, including a father who sexually assaulted his 11-year-old daughter. That's 41. So we're not talking about 2, 3 here and there, 41. These are the people. We don't know which ones that we put on buses and send them and put them into send them to Staten Island, right next to the high school, or put them in the middle of your neighborhood, right next to your children. We don't know who they are when we send them. They could be one of these 41. They could be Mr. Hernandez, or they could be, I guess, an okay person. I don't know. You come in illegally, I think the presumption should be you're not an okay person. Also, this asylum thing turns out to be wrong 95% of the time. Now, there's an older case, but it gives you the idea. A man named Daniel Souza Cavalcante. He's 34 years old. He was serving a life sentence. He came into the United States without detection, again from, I believe, Venezuela. He has committed several murders since he is here, and he has just escaped within the last day from the Chester County Prison. Now, I'll show you where, if you could go to my little board there. That's where Chester County is. And he is now at large. He's at large, and he's a several-time murderer given to us by the grace of Joe, actually given to us by Brazil. And he came in without detection. We found out about him when he had his first arrest. And if you look at the second picture, that'll show you sort of where it is. That's a little more blown up. You can see, oh gosh, it may be about 10 miles north of Delaware, maybe about 30 miles west of Philadelphia, maybe sort of like it's not that far west in Pennsylvania. I mean, you can see that Lancaster is still quite a bit of ways, which is kind of not even quite mid Pennsylvania. But he is believed to be in about a 8-10 mile area. That's why I put the circle around there. He's believed to be in that area. So now I'm going to do the best I can to show you a picture of him so that you get an idea of who you're looking at. So first I'm going to show it here. See it there. Can we focus?
Bring it down a little bit?
Yeah, can we focus in on Mr. Cavalcante?
Perfect.
Because
bring it over a little bit?
Pardon me? What?
Yeah, bring it over to your left.
To my left.
Yeah. There we go. Perfect.
Okay. Yeah. I want you to take a good look at that, because he's in the area of Kenneth Square. That would be near towns like Westchester, Pennsylvania. That would be just maybe, looks to me like about 15 miles north of Wilmington, Delaware, about 30 miles west of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, maybe about 40 to 50 miles from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And the police, for some reason, believe he's in that circle that I originally showed you. Let me show you that circle up here again, so that you people on, or if it's easier to get bearings, there's Philadelphia. You can see Philadelphia. You can see Lancaster. You can see Wilmington, Delaware, how close it is, right? And that's the area he's in. And here's the man to watch out for.
If anyone's listening in the Pennsylvania area, this man is dangerous. He already went into people's houses to get food, to get clothing. He's hiding in the woods. He only moves at night. So if you see this man,
they got a good shot of him.
Yep, they got a good shot, Mayor.
Yep.
If you see this man, he's wearing
right now he's wearing partially still his prison clothes.
Right.
You see the orange. You see the orange on him. Apparently
He's
got,
shirtless right now, Mayor. He's shirtless, wearing prison pants. Call 911. Do not approach him. He will kill you.
Yeah. This comes from a professional.
Spotted near homes, so that can't be.
This is
reassuring.
not.
Very
This
real.
is not a self-grown criminal.
He went into people's homes. He wasn't
This
spotted
is
near homes.
due
Right.
to our inability to control our borders. And I only pointed out because it is, and I pointed out the 40 something that have been arrested in the shelter for committing violent crimes. I pointed out the Hernandez guy that has been here since June and has committed something like 8 crimes with 14 victims, and he keeps getting let out. I mean, there's a pure Democratic trifecta, right? The Democrats let him in across the border in June. The Democrats let him out of jail the first time he commits a crime. And the Democrats let him out of jail the 8th time he commits a crime. What does he have to do? Murder somebody before he's kept in jail? I mean, he will.
That's right, Mayor. The migrant crisis is real. Democrats think it's a joke. Republicans are the only ones who take it serious. And right here in New York City, we're feeling it the worst. We have people on the streets, sleeping on the streets, people in hotels, people in schools, your children's schools, our tax dollars paying for illegal migrants in New York City. Right, Mayor?
Yeah, and the point that I want to make, there was a period of time 20 and 30 years ago when illegal migrants were, yes, they did have some criminals, a much smaller percentage, and they had a much larger percentage of decent people. And the experience that many people can have is those migrants, you know, they shouldn't have violated the law. They shouldn't have jumped ahead, but they would work. They'd work hard. They'd work in restaurants. They'd work in farms. This is a different group. This is a different group. I mean, yes, there are people like that among them, but they are the front for what is really being brought in. You see, you bring 100 of them in, and you take 3 drug addicts and stick them in there with them. You take 5 people that ISIS is paying for you. You put them in there with them. This is what's happening now. You take a guy like Hernandez, you put him in there. You let out your prisons, you put them in there. That's what we're getting now. No one knows the percentage like the group I'm talking about. All you can assume is, since it's being determined by the Mexican cartels, it's a big percentage because that's what they make their big money off.
That's right.
And when you look at the crimes like the 47 in the one place, you say to yourself, you got a pretty bad group here.
And for those of you listening, make no mistake, these traffickers do not care what these people do. They could be terrorists. They could be good people. They could be bad people. Human trafficking is $150 billion a year business. As long as the person has money, it doesn't matter what kind of person they are. That's the kind of people that are coming into this country right now.
Well, there's only one way we change that. And it's amazing that we have a mayor and a governor that can't say the words to Joe Biden. Close the border by any means and every means possible. Close it now before the next person dies, because tomorrow these people are going to kill somebody. If they don't do it directly, they'll do it with fentanyl. Close the border, you miserable, evil human being. Well, thank you. And we'll be back tomorrow night on America's Mayor Live. We'll be with you at 3 tomorrow afternoon on WABCradio.com. We should be at Bedminster in New Jersey, both in the afternoon and at night. And we'll see if we can rustle up a couple of guests. Okay? God bless you, and God bless the United States of America. Our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers. in which Thomas Paine explained by rational principles the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze. We are able to apply our God-given common sense. So let's do it.